The people in transportation are our blood. They move our children around. They're so important. I heard the statistic the other day that says that we, as a city, spend 3 times more to haul our garbage around than we do to take care of our children. And that's kind of sad. And so think about that the next time your bus shows up late and you're thinking about making an angry call over to the transportation department and saying like, hey, why isn't my bus here again? Instead of coming off like a hothead, maybe be more understanding and empathetic to what's going on in the whole scope of district transportation. It's easy to get tunnel vision and think about my trip and my contest and my event. And, going to a contest is already pretty stressful, but there's a lot of buses, there's a lot of bus drivers, there's a lot of things to coordinate. And these are also people who are underpaid and underappreciated and maybe have the most important job in the entire school district. I love talking to the bus drivers. A lot of these people are very interesting and very fascinating people. Of course, you don't want to talk to them while they're driving or during heavy traffic, that kind of stuff. But in between stops or whatever, I get to know them. And a lot of these people are not who you think they might be. Some of them came from commercial driving, which again pays a lot better and has much better benefits. But some of them do stuff like they work summer camps and they're just doing this during the off season or some kind of job like that. A lot of them have advanced degrees and are extremely smart people, and they just like to work with kids. People who are involved with like BSA and sports clubs that practice over the summer and all that kind of stuff. That's where they make the most money, but they just need something to do during the school year. So, hey, I'll get a bus route and I'll drive around and I'll get to be around kids and I'll get to feel valuable and have high self-esteem. If you do get somebody who has a commercial driving background, they used to drive a truck or something on the supply chain, something along those lines, write down your information and try to get them onto your preferred driver list because they're outstanding with how they handle themselves in heavy traffic situations and all kind of stuff. They just are very good at what they do. So write down their name if they're a really good driver and try to develop good relationships with them. Speaking of which, it would also be good to develop a relationship with whoever does the scheduling for trips. Get to know them, make sure they get to know you. Don't just talk to them on the phone. If you have the time, drive on down, have a face-to-face conversation with the person that does scheduling. A lot of times this person also runs routes and is also a bus driver. They just have the added responsibility and they might make $1 or $2 an hour more than a regular bus driver would to do all of the scheduling and stuff. So make sure they know you and know what you're all about so that when you're going on a trip, they kind of know what to expect and what to understand. Sometimes bad things happen. Sometimes a bus driver calls in sick and these scheduling people have to make tough decisions like, well, do we send a bus out for this orchestra trip or do we cover this elementary school route? How do we make this work? And hey, sometimes you get a delay and it's not their fault. It's not like they completely dropped the ball. It's just they have to make tough calls. So when there's delays and stuff like that, again, it's good to have a relationship with the person in scheduling because they can call you up and say, hey, I got this problem. We're running a little late. Sorry about that. And it's not just this surprise. It's also good to know the people who are in dispatch. A lot of times these are also drivers and sometimes they rotate. The people in dispatch can figure out where your buses are, who the drivers are, which bus is where, what their ETA is. They basically know everything. It's good to have a good relationship with the dispatch people. Again, go down to transportation, talk to these people, meet them, maybe show up one morning before they do their routes early in the morning, just bring them all donuts and coffee and just get to know them. Of course, make sure that after you're going on a trip that you clean the buses after and you have your students be respectful and clean the buses after. A lot of times the bus drivers are responsible for cleaning their own buses. You go in there and you trash it, they're not gonna be happy, okay? So how unhappy are they gonna be? Maybe somebody leaves their instrument on the bus and the bus driver's like, well, this bus is trashed, well, this instrument must be trashed too. That's not good. Some of these instruments cost a lot of money. Maybe it's a tuner, a metronome or something. You know, if you did a good job of cleaning the bus, you won't probably leave those things behind in the first place. But if you do, you know, they'll probably be nice enough to say, oh, hey, you know, you left this. And maybe when they're doing their routes, they'll drop it by the front desk at your school and you'll get it back from them. You also don't want your program to have a bad reputation of being, you know, spoiled kids or too loud on the bus or, you know, messy, that kind of thing, or else you're not going to get treated as well as, you know, the cream of the crop organizations that are respectful, they clean up after themselves, and they're low maintenance. So when they're making decisions about, hey, which driver goes where, you know, the good drivers are going to probably be like, hey, I want to go on that orchestra trip. That's easy money, and it's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of times when we go on trips, we have meals. So make sure to request meal money for your drivers too. If you get any kind of per diem or whatever, make sure to include that bus driver. They're part of the team too. If you're going to a competition and they're just going to be parked outside in the parking lot, hey, might as well invite them in. Hey, you want to come listen? You want to hear groups? You know, you're welcome to come in, take them in, have them listen. You know, they're part of your team too. They'll cheer for you. A lot of times in these competitions, we don't have that huge of an audience, especially for out-of-town trips. We don't have a lot of parents that are willing to drive far away to go and listen during the workday especially. So, hey, at least we got somebody in the audience on our side, right? We got our bus drivers. So definitely invite them in. A lot of them, they like to listen. You know, they like to feel like they're part of your team too. If you're doing an overnight trip, don't forget hotel accommodations for your driver. You know, they're not going to sleep on the bus. Make sure they have a room. Make sure that all their needs are taken care of. If you're going to something fun like a Six Flags or whatever, get them a ticket, you know, let them come in, ride the roller coasters, whatever. If you're outside of Texas, Six Flags is an amusement park. So Disney World, whatever you're doing, make sure that you get them a ticket so they can have fun too. Be conscious because sometimes there's only a certain number of hours that a bus driver can drive. And then, you know, they basically say, I'm done, I can't drive anymore. It kind of differs, I think, by municipality or whatever, but don't overload your bus drivers or else they might have to stop and say, you know, I can't, I got to take a nap or whatever, especially with charter buses. This is outside of district transportation, but still, like charter bus drivers, sometimes they have to stop and get another driver to come in, and that causes delays in your trip. Make sure they have enough time to sleep so that they're well rested. You know, just take care of them like you would take care of your students or your chaperones or anybody else. You know, just make sure, again, that their needs are taken care of. Be respectful to your bus drivers no matter what, even if the traffic's bad, even if you're late, even if, you know, you're going to miss part of your warm-up time. Show them respect. Make sure that your students are respectful too. We want to build that respect, and we want to set a good example for our students and how they treat other people. Again, I don't mean to get preachy here. It's just, I think it's just really important for character development. I know you probably do this anyway. It's just, it feels good to say it out loud. Maybe I'm talking to myself too. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. We'll see you in the next one.